the Sustainability Management Master's Program, you're answering one simple question. Do you care about your future generation? If you care about your kids, their grandkids, then you care about sustainability. And a sustainability manager is someone who has the tools to make people understand how they can contribute towards developing a sustainable world. We have both part-time and full-time students. Our curriculum is 30 hours. Instead of thesis, we have a research project course and a seminar course which provides them with the kind of research background they will need to be successful in their job. But at the same time, sustainability is not always everything about environment. It also relates to the business. They will take a sustainable business strategies course. They will take a project management course. Most of these courses are going to be taught by industry people, the people who are doing sustainability on a daily basis as a part of their job. Any organization that has a large number of employees and has a physical infrastructure, they will have to have a sustainability office. If you have the passion to develop and maintain a sustainable world, come to us and we will help you shape your passion into a career which will create an impact. Is the deadline for your assignment. For some reason, like I wrote like 17th of November, which is not true. Like it's 19th of November, you have until midnight to submit the report. So it's my pleasure to introduce the team that won the Hugo New Corporation Gold Prize in the Team Capstone category in spring 2024. I'm glad to see you guys again after a long time. Sabrina, Giri, Rudula, Christos, Anisha, Kylie. They are going to talk about their Team Capstone project, where they performed a waste mitigation analysis for the Marriott chain of hotels. So the Marriott sustainability team was so impressed with their work that they requested us for another capstone team this year to work on another major sustainability issue. So let's welcome the gold team. So guys, please introduce yourselves briefly before getting into the presentation. Let the audience know what degrees you had before joining our MS program, and then from where and what you are doing now. All right, take it from here.
Sure. That's actually part of our presentation, so maybe I'll just get started.
Okay.
And we
That's
have
good.
yeah.
Again, then yeah, that would be good.
Okay, great. Yeah, don't worry, Dibs. We'll get there. Everyone will know who we are.
Yeah, because this is the one that most of our sustainability management majors they wait, like you guys did. Like it's very helpful for them because they are going to do it, in what, like 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I guess I will start us off.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here, for attending. Today, we're going to be talking about our capstone project, which, as you know, was mitigating waste across Marriott properties. So just a brief overview of what we're going to be going through today. We're going to do a little meet the team where you'll understand who each one of us are, as well as our internal and external mentors. We're going to do a project introduction and how we went about the project, so the approach we took, our final recommendations, some tools and tips, our final submittals, as well as just some words of wisdom from each one of us. So this is our external team, our internal and external mentors. So of course you all know Dibs and Derek. You guys will be working really closely with them. They're super helpful in any questions you have about the structure of the project. If you have any questions on how to approach your mentors, your external mentors with certain things, you can always go to them, and they will always be happy to help. And then our external mentors, or Mercedes Hunt, who's the Director of Energy and Sustainability at Marriott, as well as John Calamane, who is the Senior Manager of Carbon and Sustainability Reporting at Marriott. And now us. Hi, everyone. My name is Sabrina. My bachelor's is in environmental engineering from Stevens, And I did my MS in Sustainability Management as part of the AMP program, also here at Stevens. Throughout my master's, I spent a year at a personal care company building up my skills in waste mitigation strategies, carbon accounting, sustainable packaging solutions, and stakeholder communication. I took some time off to travel post-graduation, and I'm now job searching in either corporate sustainability or decarbonization of the built environment. So hopefully I'll have an update for everyone soon. If anyone wants to find me on LinkedIn, you can see that update hopefully soon.
Hi, I'm Giri. I have a background in sales and sales operations. Currently working as a sales packaging analyst for a food packaging and processing company. I graduated with a dual MS and MBA degree. Sustainability isn't directly in my job title or description, but it's generally important to the company. And some of the communication strategies does involve knowing about recycling, food waste, and content, renewable content and packaging material.
Hello to everyone. My name is Christos Tsitouras. I hold an ME in chemical and environmental engineering from Technical University of Crete, and I'm now in the last semester of the dual sustainability management and MBA program here at Stevens. So just a few words about my work experience. Recently, I had a summer internship at PwC in Greece, my home country, where I contributed to and supported the development of TNFD report and sustainability reports in general. And I also helped to develop a citation library. Previously, from that, I worked as a junior project manager at a consulting firm, which is specialized in providing technical, environmental, and financial advisory services, majorly for marinas and port projects. And lastly, I have also entered with an energy infrastructure company, supporting the development of key LNG project, import and regasification project in Southeastern Europe.
You are muted, Mridula.
Sorry about that, guys. This never
Start
gets old.
again.
But yeah, hi everyone. I'm Rudula and I'm from India and I have a bachelor's in information technology. And after that, I've worked with Amazon for 3 years as a business analyst, data crunching and numbers there. And after that, I have moved. I wanted to switch to sustainability, so I pursued a master's in sustainability management here in Stevens. And right now, I'm working with Nomura Securities in New York as the business analyst here. I work with the data management team. I get to manage the ESG databases that we have and all of the client data, the ESG scores, and that we get from Bloomberg. I do that for the clients. So yeah, that's what I do that now.
Hi everyone, I'm Anisha. I got my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Florida, and then from Stevens as part of the master's sustainability management program. I've been in the energy industry for almost 5 years now. I started off as an energy analyst, and then I worked my way up as an energy project manager right now. So I currently work with clients who are installing energy efficiency components in their buildings and just studying how efficient a building can be and improving its performance. And I'm simultaneously working to get some certifications in the energy industry just to become an expert.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaylee. Sorry, my camera's broken, so but you can see me there. So I graduated from Stevens with my BA in environmental engineering in 2023, and then did the AMP for sustainability management. And during my time at Stevens, I was a lab assistant for the environmental sustainability lab, and I worked at Port Authority and a virtual internship with Robots Crate in Ecuador. And then now I'm working in New York City at AKRF as an air quality analyst, and I do emission projections and Title V stack testing. I don't have sustainability in the name, but my department is the only department with a sustainability component. So my department is working on expanding that throughout the entire company.
All right. So who is taking over?
Yeah, so project introduction. So basically the ask from the clients, they mainly asked us to focus on waste reduction and ways that we can do that across all their properties. We did that in a few different ways. Obviously, key part of that was data collection and analysis, filtering out key information, doing legislative reviews in different states, and also nationwide, how things may need to be tweaked. We assess current technologies, both that our client was using and also what's available and best practices in the market. And then we obviously had a final delivery, so key solutions that we wanted to implement that were both feasible as well as cost effective.
So there were a few things we had to really take into consideration when it came to this project. A couple of those things is the scale of Marriott as a company. So Marriott's a hotel group, and they have roughly 8,700 properties in over 130 countries, and they offer a really wide range of accommodations from budget-friendly rooms like their Marriott Courtyard brand to luxurious high-end accommodation like the Ritz-Carlton brand. This was a really important consideration for us, and it brought up the question of how we can develop effective strategies for the hotel brands all across the spectrum of costs. And another thing we really needed to consider when it came to proposal development is the fact that the majority of Marriott properties are actually franchised and not directly owned by Marriott themselves. So another big question for us was, how can we help Marriott properties to mitigate waste in a way that's realistic and is able to be adopted by properties regardless of their location and owner. So of course, this was a big challenge, and you'll see a little bit more about how we navigated this challenge as we continue to share how we went about the project itself. Specifically, here is our project approach. We've divided it into 5 different phases. The first one being a general orientation and knowledge transfer. So this was just like meeting the team, like us getting to know each other, us getting to know our external mentors, trying to figure out how we wanted to communicate with each other. And it was kind of like a general request of information from Marriott's team. The second phase was research and data collection. So we had to do, once we were given all of the data, we had to do a lot of research on what we could actually do with this data. So there was research on legislation, on current waste management practices and technologies they're using. And that kind of started to give us a little bit more insight. So once we got all this data, we could analyze it and narrow down some of the best options for Marriott. And this got us to our phase 4 of proposal development, which was generally just to create a plan for Marriott to follow with some finalized suggestions. And then our phase 5 was the final phase of this project as a whole. So that was presenting our plan to the Marriott team and to the rest of the class, and kind of see what could be done with all the work that we had done in the past few months. It was a long process.
So jumping in directly to the recommendations part, which is the major part of our project, we have divided it into 3 different categories: technology, communication, and partnerships. So regarding the technology part, one of the most innovative solutions that we explored and suggested to Marriott is called WinnoVision. Basically, it is an AI-powered tool which is designed to help food waste reduction in commercial kitchens. And it's actually not only a very simple way to use this product, but also a very effective one. So how it works? It's pretty simple. It uses a camera mounted above the waste bins and smart scales underneath in order to track the type and amount of food being discarded. The system that generates, after that, the system generates reports giving the kitchen team a more clear image and insights of what's been wasted. And why does this matter? Well, it helps hotels like big hotel chains like Marriott adjust their menus, portion sizes, and budgets in order to minimize waste. Moreover, it's already proven to work. For example, at a hotel in Dubai, they reduced the food waste by 72% in just 1 year, which means that they saved costs and meals as well. Winovision overall is a great example of how technology can support in a direct way sustainability goals while also improving the operational efficiency. Moving now to the second technology, it is the strong data automation. This system is all about improving how Marriott tracks waste data. So it uses tools like weight scales, RFID cards, and sensors to collect and log information monitoring in real time, which is a huge step up from the traditional manual processes. This automation makes it much more easier for the staff to track waste in a more accurate manner and more efficiently as well, which is very motivating for employees and helps Marriott also stay on the top of the regulations. Additionally, the real-time data it provides is incredibly very important and valuable for identifying inefficiencies and making smarter decisions. So the big picture is that at the end of the day, it's not just about tracking data. It's about also simplifying the processes and creating a foundation for better waste management across all Marriott properties, in our case. So finally, let's talk about the Big Belly technology. These are smart waste and recycling bins that use solar-powered technology in order to compact waste, which means that they can hold up to 5 times more waste than a standard bin. What makes them really innovative and unique is their ability to send real-time data on in terms of the waste levels, so staff not only empty them when needed, saving not only time and resources, but also this can be translated into money as well. So on top of that, Big Belly reduces also, of course, CO2 emissions and supports the efforts of the sustainability efforts of Marriott. So lastly, in terms of costs, a brief economic analysis. Each unit costs $4,000 if it's purchased outright, and there is an alternative way of 5-year leasing at $4,500 per unit, which includes, I'm pointing out that it includes maintenance and repairs, for example, battery replacement, which is very costly, which ensures predictable costs and it minimizes the financial risks. Just to give you an example, equipping 43 Marriott properties in the state of California with 3 units each would total 129 units with an annual cost averaging $900 per unit, if you do the maths, under the leasing agreement.
The second part of our recommendation was the communication part, and I think this is also key in a step up from Marriott's previous practices, because we did a site visit at the W right there in Hoboken, and one of the things that we were told by the property manager was that they have tried to implement sustainable practices and waste mitigation practices, but it's only specific to their hotel, and the struggle was to even maintain it across all Marriotts in Hoboken. So we tried to come up with a system where we were able to give them recommendations on how they can communicate their solutions or their practices to key shareholders. And the first of them is the customers. So as you can see in the slide, the guests are the people who make up majority of the shareholders of the Marriott properties. And so we wanted to address the question of how can Marriott engage the guests into encouraging them to become more sustainable and more mindful of their waste, without them thinking that their stay at Marriott is going to be compromised. And one of the first solutions that we thought of especially is that they could use Marriott's reward points, which is on the next slide. The reward system, if anyone has been part of Marriott, is basically a Bonvoy program where they, if you become a member, you are able to gain points for staying with them continuously. You have different tiers of membership, and we decided to use this to Marriott's benefit, because once you become a member, you're always trying to stick to one specific hotel, and we thought this would also encourage their loyalty, not in just terms of stays, but also sustainability. So one of our recommendations was that they should be able to employ or deploy sustainability programs in their app. For example, one of the things that they could do was when someone checks in, they can just simply refuse to get those 2 free check-in water bottles out of plastic. It's a very small thing, obviously, but in the long run, like we said, with all this number of hotels in Marriott, the number of plastic waste they're reducing simply by rejecting 2 plastic water bottles was significant. And that was our goal. It's not, like Sabrina said, we were trying to provide realistic solutions. So our goal was not to tell them just stop all plastic waste or stop everything. We tried to give them something that was easy to implement while making sure the customer felt a benefit. So they could easily just enroll in the Sustainable Rewards program, and every time they did something that was good towards sustainability, they would get extra reward points. It doesn't have to be too many, but just enough for the guests to feel like they made an impact and they got a benefit out of it. Our second recommendation was to actually put up signage, because during our site visit, we noticed that they were doing quite a few sustainable practices that were not done commonly in hotels, but there was no advertisement about it, or there was no information being displayed to the customers or to even the employees themselves. And one of the things that we did when we were doing their competitor analysis, we also find out is that other hotel chains, except for Marriott, they were actually being very vocal about the sustainable goals and their sustainable initiatives they were taking. So we thought that marketing that would be a great point towards Marriott's mitigating waste, only because when someone becomes aware of the steps that Marriott is taking, they just become more inclined to do it or to be a part of that initiative. So our question was, how can we strategically use signage throughout the Marriott properties to educate guests and make sure that they engage in all the sustainability initiatives that Marriott is about to take? We did research, like it says over there, 78% travelers are interested when they are staying in environmentally conscious accommodation. And the only way we can know if a hotel or a spot is environmentally conscious is if there's enough marketing material about it. So the goal is basically, like you can see on the right, just to create a sheet that has a small snippet or a small percentage that was taken directly from the ESG report with a QR code that leads them right to the ESG report or their reduction or goal report, just something that tells the guests that Marriott is doing something for sustainability and how they can be a part of it. And one of the things we suggested was they can track the traffic at this QR code just to understand how many guests are actually paying attention and how that signage is making a difference. Another way we thought that signage would be beneficial is just to use it as a tool to reduce waste in general. We see these signs all over Hoboken streets. We see them all over, even in New Jersey and across the states. But we thought that just putting them differently in every hotel would actually make guests more mindful of how they're disposing of waste, which in the long term reduces Marriott's operational costs, because then they would not have to pay separate vendors for first differentiating the waste and then like sending it off to composting or sending it off to recycling. So just a simple signage of not just food waste, but like plastic waste or water waste in general. We just thought that this was a really good idea to just display signage. Our second part of the communication recommendations was how can we encourage Marriott employees to help with the initiatives, because we think that just from an employee's perspective, why should they feel inclined towards sustainability when their only motivation is to just come in and work? So our idea was that as part of this Capstone project, we would try to encourage the employees themselves to be part of this initiative that Marriott is taking so seriously. So one of the key things that we said is that they should be part of mandatory and voluntary trainings. Mandatory for specific things like especially waste, like Christos mentioned, the technology of where they have to track the waste. They should be given those trainings mandatory because it helps in the long run of keeping track of how much waste has been used, what kind of training they're doing to at least get rid of the waste. So those are mandatory. And then for voluntary is like, compensating them for attending similar sustainability meetings or taking extra initiatives for food waste preservation, just things that show that they're taking an extra initiative that's not part of Marriott. Our suggestion to Marriott was that people love to feel appreciated, and that goes same for employees. So just giving them a little something, compensation like free meals or just Marriott points or something would help them become more sustainable just towards their own job. All right, Mridula.
Who is doing?
Yeah, moving on to partnerships. Yes, so we had Habitat resource. They were primarily for the disposable part. So they primarily handle appliance disposal. They accept different kinds of donations, but not in one advantage with them, especially is they handle large quantities, especially from construction and renovation. For example, in our site visit to that W hotel in Hoboken, we noticed that they were doing renovation. They had project timeline for some point next year. So the waste quantities generated from that's where we needed to leverage a partner like Habitat Restores. They also have specific programs for corporate donors, which includes things like logistics, item donation, and they also have a very stringent reporting system so that all data collection from the waste quantities are clearly monitored and registered.
Another firm that we recommended Marriott to be partnered with was Checksami. Checksami would essentially help Marriott in recycling the textile and e-waste. So since Marriott is in a hospitality sector, then yeah, recycling textile is one of the biggest things that is one of the biggest pillars for waste management for some firm in hospitality sector. So again, Checksami, they have wide range of services, not just textile and e-waste. They also have different donation programs. However, they do charge for all kinds of consultation, and comparing the amount of waste that we have from Marriott and with the data that we have, we thought textile recycling and e-waste partnership with Checksami would do better. And they provide specialized bins like the ones that you see on the screen for different properties at Marriott, and they also provide detailed reports for all of the materials that have been recycled, the weight, and this helps Marriott in sustainability reporting. So, and they also do debranding for such as they remove brand logos from the textiles, and if Marriott gonna seek brand protection, then this would be beneficial for them. And with this partnership, we thought that it could reduce the landfill fees that Marriott would be paying. And again, for recycled goods, there can be earnings, and that is one benefit that Marriott could leverage on. And also, this can help streamlining the waste management process, and this can also lead to operational efficiencies in Marriott. However, they do have set up fees for providing bins and the pickup of the textile and e-waste. So and yeah, another firm that we thought would benefit Marriott with their partnership is Food Donation Connection. This is my personal favorite because, again, in a hospitality sector, if not textiles, then I think food is one of the biggest thing in waste management that needs to be focused on. And this is one of the very essential resource. So we would personally want to invest in this because this particular partnership, I think, is also a win-win situation for Marriott because the cost, the cost that Marriott has to put in from its end is very minimal. And this particular firm is gonna ensure compliance with food safety regulations, and that could eliminate potential risks associated with food handling because that is a very serious thing, and that is a, a biggest risk that we would be taking in terms of food. And this also helps in tracking and reporting like Checksami, and we would get a detailed report of activity and the volume of donations that we'd be making, and this can help in Marriott's sustainability reporting again. Also, Food Donation Connection, it has huge network of food banks. So this firm is already in partnership with Yum Brands. I think they are the parent brand of KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut. All of these are already in partnership with Food Donation Connection. And this started in 1992. So this has been sticking on for so long. And the benefits that we see that Marriott can get from this is that, like I said, it involves minimal cost, and any non-registered, non-profit organizations that have been registered, they can help claim tax reductions through donations. So both Habitat Restores and Food Donation Connection will help in tax reductions for Marriott. And also this can help create community impact because this supports the local communities here. And we also saw some potential drawbacks with these partnerships, like since Marriott currently has local partnerships for some of their sites, and these nationwide programs that we have recommended might jeopardize some of those local partnerships. And also, since each property is unique with different set of challenges, all of these would not the nationwide programs may not address all of the underlying challenges, but it's still gonna reduce a lot of landfill costs and waste management costs, and also would bring in some benefits and help for managing the waste for Marriott. Okay, go ahead.
Right, and now we're going to talk about some of the tools that helped us throughout this project. So in the beginning, Marriott had come to us and told us they wanted us to find a way to mitigate waste in their hotels. But Marriott has a lot of properties, as we told you, and it is a worldwide chain. So the ask was very vague and very it was a lot for one semester. So one of the tools that helped us narrow down the broad ask and make it more manageable was Miro Mind Map, and this was suggested to us by one of our mentors. So we were able to visualize large processes by mapping it out. For example, we broke down waste management practices into different categories like recycling and hazardous waste. Then we looked at what departments would generate that type of waste, which helped us in our analysis later on in the project. Overall, this tool helped us figure out what direction we wanted to take for a project because, again, the ask was very vague in the beginning. And a tip for everyone is to remember to keep your expectations realistic and to communicate what you can accomplish in one semester with your mentors because the semester will go by fast and you don't want to have an incomplete product at the end. So in terms of communication, we use WhatsApp to communicate amongst ourselves and with our sponsors. This made it easier to ask random questions throughout the week instead of waiting for our weekly meetings with our sponsors. Zoom was our preferred meeting platform. Every Wednesday, we had meetings with Marriott to talk about our progress. For these meetings, we had 1 or 2 people committed to be our liaisons between us and the sponsors because it was difficult for all of us to make the meetings every week. The rest of the members were encouraged to attend, but not obligated since the meetings were recorded and notes were taken. And when to meet helped us schedule our internal meetings because it was difficult to coordinate all 6 of us every week throughout the semester. We would use Tuesdays as our day to meet and prepare for our Wednesday meetings, but sometimes we would need to reschedule because again, we all worked and we all had different classes. In terms of management tools, we used Asana, which is a team communication manager that helps teams share files and assign tasks to individuals. We mostly use this for file sharing between us and Marriott because it kept everything organized. However, we used the free version, so we didn't have access to a task timeline, which is why we used a Gantt chart. So the Gantt chart helped us visually see the task breakdown by person, and we could see our progress on a timeline. We just used a template I found on Google to keep us organized. And remember to keep this updated because it's important to include something like this in all of your deliverables throughout the semester for both Marriott and for your class deliverables. And lastly, our submittals. Our final submittals was created with Canva. So in our opinion, creating a visually appealing product was important, and we liked the templates that Canva provided. Not only were we able to lay out our information better, but we didn't have to stress about graphic designing since Canva made that easy for us. However, a con to using Canva is it's difficult to spot spelling errors in the app and on the website. So make sure you have different people reviewing it. And also try to export it as a PDF as you go along because it's easier to spot inconsistencies in that format.
Okay, so we're gonna go into some final remarks, just kind of like words of wisdom, advice from each one of us. But maybe before we get into that, I think like there was a lot of information that we shared, so I just want to briefly recap just the process of how we went about this project. We started off just by meeting with our mentors and understanding what the ask was. We were given so much information. It was a little bit overwhelming in the beginning. I remember we had this one meeting internally between the 6 of us. We were sitting in a classroom and we had the whiteboard like filled with information. We were like, okay, how are we going to narrow this down? So I think visualizing it using Miro was definitely useful. We also did break down the tasks between each one of us. So we each had individual roles, but we worked really closely together to kind of fact check each other and making sure we were on track to having a well thought out deliverable for our mentors. So we kind of started with like this broad information, narrowed it down through a visualization and testing out some different options. And that helped us to get to the final stages of being able to deliver a well-structured and well thought out proposal that we felt was very realistic. That was some of the positive feedback we got from not only Dibs and Derek, but also from our mentors that the proposal we put out to them actually could be used in a lot of different properties. So just remember that when you're working with sponsors, it differs from your academic project. You really have to think about whether or not these solutions could be applicable into a business. But yeah, so onto our final remarks from each one of us. I just wanted to tell everyone, just recognize the scale of the work you're doing on top of all your classes. And if you work or not, this is a big project. So talk about the scale of it. Like you don't really realize how much work goes into it, I think, until you're done with it and you kind of look back and you're like, wow, that was a lot of work. So Just understand that it is a big project. It's not supposed to be something that's easy. It's supposed to be difficult and challenging. You're getting a master's. So just recognize the scale of the work that you're doing and talk about it. Talk about it in interviews, talk about it at networking events, because you should be proud of it.
So yes, if I were to give a tip, it would be stay organized as much as you can, and using tools, as Kale mentioned before, like project management tools, Asana, for example, that we have used. It will be very helpful and useful. You will see that, as it helps you with smooth collaboration and manage your tasks more efficiently and more effectively. So it really keeps everyone on the same page and makes working as a team much more easier. So apart from that, I would say make sure that you check in regularly with your clients to align with the goals, to align all the goals and get their feedback. This will save you much more time than you expect and effort in the long run.
So one advice from my end that I want to give you guys is that ask questions. Like only when you ask questions, you become a subject matter expert on something. And I identified that the main difference between university and the world outside it is that maybe in your assignments or other tasks, you're told what is expected of you more often than not in a very clear way. For me personally, when I worked with Dr. Sakar or Professor Nunez, it was really helpful for me. But yeah, the moment you are out of university, it is not going to be that way. It's you who is to be asking questions and digging information out of people, not just information, but expectations as well. So I think the capstone will provide you a very good platform for, transitioning into developing this habit of asking questions, because Derek will be, very helpful in having you a good clarity on what is expected, but still you gotta go ahead and ask questions to your mentors, ask questions to your teammates, and don't just be afraid of admitting that you don't know something. It's fine. Nobody out there knows everything, but you will if you ask questions. So that would be my advice.
My advice would be to take it seriously because this can lead to a job. So a lot of the interviews I had during the semester while I was job hunting, they were mostly impressed with this project and my individual capstone. I've interned with Port Authority, which is kind of a big name for this industry. So they would rather hear about this project than my other previous internships. So just try to take it seriously and talk about it as much as you can with others.
Yeah, I would say mainly obviously trying to compile the things you did in the project so you can connect it to potential interview questions. So as Katie mentioned, it could come up in the interview. So being prepared to answer and connect the project specifically, what you did, how you did it, to the interview would be helpful.
I think mine just would be like your team, just work as a team, which kind of gives you an insight of what the industry is going to be like, because you're not obviously not going to work individually. You'll have your manager, someone will be above them, you'll be in a team. So this project just gives you a really good idea of what it's like to work in a professional setting without actually being there. And it teaches you how to just deal with disagreements, because obviously when we started the project, like everyone said, it was a broad ask, so we didn't know where this project was heading. And I think just the fact that the team divided themselves up in different sections and we said, we'll take this bit, you take this bit, let's come back in a week and try to see what each other found out and where can we take this project from here, really just elevated the project from where it was to what you see right now. And I think all of that just goes to the teamwork and everyone's hard work that put in. So definitely learn how to work in a team, and that's going to take you a long way. That's it.
Awesome. And last but not least, this is us post presenting our capstone. So
So like you
gonna
can see
end
Chris
up
is
like
taking the project so seriously. He's like into it now. Like that's how Chris is.
yeah.
Wow, that was a really nice presentation, and it was lovely to see you guys after like what, like 6-7 months.